first. I'll come back to him at the end. We debated the finance bill in the Senate on Tuesday and in the House of Representatives on Friday. And in that debate, in the Senate in particular, Mr. Mark alleged that there were measures in the finance bill that were designed to benefit friends, family, and financiers of the PNM government, probably of me too. And there is nothing that Mr. Mark said that was true. Nothing that he said was based on fact, which is typical for him. Let me deal with a particular statement he made. He said that in clause 4 of the finance bill, which deals with amendments to the tax laws dealing with companies that list on the stock exchange, he said that that particular clause in the finance bill would allow small and medium-sized enterprises to benefit from a 0% rate for corporation tax for 5 years. And then for the next 5 years, instead of paying 30%, which is the corporation tax rate for large companies, they would pay 15%. And then he went on with a lot of rhetoric about people are starving, people are unemployed, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And came back and made his allegations again, so that this particular company would only pay zero, well, will pay no taxes for 5 years and then half of what they should pay. And he claimed that this company was called MPC Caribbean Clean Energy Limited. And he said he wondered who is going to benefit from 5 years of not paying taxes. And he said the measures fit neatly into a company by the name of MPC Caribbean Clean Energy. I'm reading from his statements in the Senate. Went on in his usual way to insinuate there was some connection between the government of Trinidad and Tobago and this company. He said it was a ghost company. It does no business. It employs nobody. It has no investment in Trinidad and Tobago, but miraculously will get 5 years of paying no taxes. Went on and on and on, and said that one of the co-investors in this company is the Answer Macal Group, and that the legislation is deliberately crafted. They call it ad hominem legislation, designed only for this company. Went on and on and on to say that why is the parliament being asked to give concessions to this German company when it has a co-investor called Answer Macal, 5 years of paying no taxes. He said this is inexcusable, indefensible. I, as the minister, should withdraw the proposal. We can't bring legislation designed to benefit one company. This is what the government has done, and so on, and so on, and so on. It's all a pack of lies. And right at the beginning, I'd like to call out the media, because what I expect from the Trinidad and Tobago media is research. And one should not just publish the scandalous, defamatory, untruthful statements made by Senator Mark. He does that all the time. One may recall when he, as Speaker of the House, said he had received a court order preventing him from allowing a debate to take place on a matter relating to insider trading, and that was a total lie. I want to remember that. But in this particular case, this is an outrageous lie. He's claiming the government is trying to favor Answer Macal and itself and this German company by giving them tax concessions for 5 years as a result of this bill. What is the truth? Anybody who wants to check the facts, and I expected the media to do this, I'm disappointed in them again, go to the stock exchange and check on the website of the stock exchange, and you will see there are only 2 companies listed on the SME, the small and enterprise section of the stock exchange. And those 2 companies are Cinema One and Endeavor Holdings. This particular company that Mr. Mark alleges in clause 4 of this bill would now get exemption from taxes for 10 years is not listed on the small and medium enterprise section of the stock exchange. So that's the first lie. It's not an SME listed on the stock exchange. This bill was designed only to benefit companies who may wish to list going forward on the stock exchange as small and medium enterprises. And it was designed to stimulate the small and medium enterprise sector, which is going to be the savior of this country and is the backbone of so many countries all over the world. Just as an aside, in Europe, over 90% of businesses are small and medium. 90%. In fact, I think the figure is 95%. And in Trinidad and Tobago, over 50% of businesses done by small and medium enterprises. But if anyone who published Mr. Mark's scandalous remarks, that includes TV6, if they had bothered to go and look in the bill itself and see exactly what we were trying to do, they would have realized off the bat that Mark was lying. So let me go to clause 4 of the bill. Clause 4 of the bill deals with a number of things, but it deals in particular with amendments to the Corporation Tax Act. And in that particular clause, clause 4, just give me 1 second as I find it. A small and medium enterprise is a company which has, and this is on page 8 of the bill, and has a maximum, actually page 7 of the bill at the bottom, clause 4A, 3A, a maximum issued share capital of 50 million Trinidad and Tobago dollars, among other things. If one bothered to go and check this company, MPC Clean Energy, one would see it's a company registered in Barbados, first listed on the Jamaica Stock Exchange with an IPO, and then cross-listed on the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange. And if anyone who was interested in doing proper research had gone and checked the website of that particular company, one would have seen that the issued share capital of MPC Clean Energy is 21 million US dollars, 140 million Trinidad and Tobago dollars. So it is impossible, since the limit for enjoying these tax privileges is a capital base of $50 million. It's impossible for a company that has a capital base of $140 million to benefit from them. And in addition, it is not an SME listed on the stock exchange. It's a US equity. So every single thing Mr. Mark said was a total outrageous, I dare say, nasty lie. It's impossible for that particular company to benefit from the exemptions in the bill. But he carried on for quite a while about that. So I'll come back to that. And the company also has an investment in Jamaica. It's invested in a solar energy facility in Jamaica. He forgot to mention that. So let's go back to the front. Central Bank. On Wednesday, the 16th, the Daily Express published an editorial entitled Government's Quiet Assault on the Central Bank. And in that editorial, the Express went to lengths to allege that the amendments to the Central Bank Act that were approved in the Parliament last week essentially were a travesty. The Express went on to make the following astonishing claim: that under existing law, the appointment of the next governor of the central bank, if the present government runs a full 5-year term under the existing law, the term of the next governor will succeed the present governor would have naturally ended after the next general election, assuming the current government runs its full 5-year constitutional term. Express went on to say, after giving us that inaccurate mathematics, that this would give the new administration, that's the next government after 2025, the option of allowing the successor to the present governor to complete his full term 4 or so months into the term before making an appointment of its own. this will be a seamless transition. They say that we have now changed the term of office of the governor of the central bank from a 5-year term to a minimum of 3 and a maximum of 5. And this will completely disrupt the process by allowing this government to impose its choice of governor on an incoming governor if we lose the next election. This is completely wrong. It ignores the facts. And I want to give this history. According to the Express, governments in Trinidad and Tobago run for 5 years, and the terms of governors of the central bank run for 5 years. They also begin at the same time, because that's the only way this logic can work. That shortly after a government is appointed, a governor of the central bank will be appointed for a 5-year term. And the government will run for 5 years, and the new governor will run into the next term just for a couple of months, which allows the new government to pick a new governor without any problems. Nonsense. I want to give the facts, and again, Express did not do its homework. The first governor of the central bank, Mr. Pierce, served for 2 years. Second governor, Mr. McLeod, served for 3 years. The third governor, Mr. Bruce, served for 15 years. And all of this was under one political party in government, the PNM. The fourth governor of the central bank, Dr. Bob, served for 4 years, not 5. And in that 4 years, his term extended over 1 year into the term of a new government under a different party, the NAR. So Uric Bob's term extended over 1 year into the term of office of the NAR. Uric Bob appointed by the PNM. And if Dr. Bob had run his full 5 years, he would have served for 2 years into the term of office of the NAR government. Remember, the Express is claiming that the standard is that government comes in, governor of the central bank is appointed almost immediately, and then just overlaps the government term by a couple of months. So you have a seamless transition. In the case of Dr. Bob, if he had run his whole term, he would have gone 2 years into the term of the NAR. The next governor, Mr. Dimas, served for 4 years, not 5. And again, if he had served his whole term, he would have run over a year into the incoming PNM administration too. The sixth governor of the central bank, Mr. Harewood, served almost 2 years into the term of a new government under a new party, the UNC. The seventh governor, Mr. Dukaran, served 7 months into the term of a new government under a different party, from UNC to PNM. Eighth governor, Hewitt Williams, served for 10 years, including over 2 years into the term of a new government under a different party, from PNM to UNC. The ninth governor, Mr. Rambaran, if his appointment had not been terminated, would have served almost 2 years into the term of a new government under a different party, from UNC to PNM. So the analysis in the editorial is just unfounded, irrational, and fallacious. In only one instance over the last 56 years has a governor of the central bank, and that is William Dimas, served a few months into the term of a new government to allow what the Express has falsely alleged was a seamless transition. And as I said before, if Mr. Dimas had served a full 5-year term, he would have been governor of the central bank for over 1 year into the term of a new government. And to further demonstrate that the arguments in the editorial are just wrong, and I dare say fallacious in the extreme, it's also a matter of public record that since 1986, or even since 1966, there have been numerous instances where governments have not served a 5-year parliamentary term. 1966 to 71, 4 years, 6 months government. 1971 to 76, 5 years, 4 months. 1991 to 95, 3 years, 11 months. 2000, 2001, 1 year. 2001, 2002, 11 months. 2007, 2010, 3 years, 6 months. And 2010 to 2015, 5 years, 3 months. So this mathematical formula that the Express used as the basis for its fallacious editorial is misleading in the extreme. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 government terms which don't match the inaccurate mathematics in the Express editorial, and 8 governors who don't match the inaccurate maths in the Express editorial. And I want to repeat, only once in 56 years has there been a situation where a government came in, a governor was appointed shortly thereafter, and that governor served for 5 years and overlapped the term of office of the government by a couple of months. And that's this term. That's the present governor under this PNM government. Once in 56 years. And the other 8 times, the maths in the editorial of the Express just doesn't match. The argument is baseless. It's irrational. The other point is that it ignores the whole question of succession planning. Since governors of the central bank are appointed later in life rather than at a young age, for good reason, and if one wished to renew the appointment of an older incumbent on the existing law, the government is tied to a second fixed term of 5 years. So if you have an elder person, 70 years old perhaps, who is appointed as governor of the central bank for good reason, experience, training, knowledge, and then you get to the person's first 5-year term, the person now 75, you are tied by the existing law to send that person from 75 to 80. You may not wish to do that. And this is why we have amended the law to say a minimum of 3 years, which gives a certain stability, and a maximum of 5. And this is precisely for the purpose of succession planning, so that a government, having appointed a governor for 5 years, can then reappoint that person for another 3 to allow the grooming of a number of persons to fill the slot after that 3 years is ended. So that the term of a governor could be 8 years or 9 years, depending on the circumstances. And that is seamless, contrary to what the Express editorial said. The other problem I have with the Express is you keep publishing what Wademark says. But Wademark is a liar. He's a proven liar. And the Express keeps publishing, not just the Express, the Newsday and the Guardian too, keep publishing what Wademark says, knowing that the man is a liar. And let me give you an example of another lie uttered by Wademark that was published, happily published in one of the newspapers, Express again. Government wants Dan Paul to head the central bank. Goes on to say, government wants to appoint retired permanent secretary Vishnu Dan Paul as governor of the central bank. Opposition Senator Wademark said on Tuesday. Mark brought no facts. He brought no proof. He is a liar. The Express published this rubbish. And I'm happy to say today, and I want to apologize on behalf of the Express to Mr. Dan Paul, because it's not fair to him for his good name to be sullied in this way. Mr. Dan Paul has served this country faithfully and well under several administrations, UNC and PNM, senior public servant, career public servant. It is just wrong to put the man in the papers like this lie. I am happy to say yesterday that the cabinet agreed on my recommendation to reappoint Dr. Alvin Hilaire as governor of the central bank for a term of 3 years. This means that Dr. Hilaire's term as governor will be 8 years in total. That gives us the necessary continuity and also gives us the necessary period of time to do succession planning and to groom successors to Dr. Hilaire when he retires in 2023, December 2023. His new term will take effect from December 23rd, this year, 2020, and will run until December 22nd, 2023. I'm also pleased to say Cabinet agreed to appoint Dr. Dorian Noel, a distinguished lecturer in finance in the Department of Government at the University of the West Indies, as a deputy governor for a period of 3 years, more or less co-terminus with Dr. Hilaire's extended term. And there are 2 other positions of deputy governor, which the government will be filling within the next couple of months, so that we would have options of 3 deputy governors, all of whom could be considered to become governor in 2023 when Dr. Hilaire emits office, or we would also have the option of looking outside, looking in the World Bank, looking in the United Nations, looking in the IMF, and all of these places, these institutions where several of our governors and deputy governors have come from. So that debunks this foolishness that is being promoted in the media based on the lies of Waitmark. And what bothers me, how does he get such an easy pass? How does he get such a blind? Lie after lie after lie after lie. Year after year after year. Mark is proven to be a compulsive liar, and they just publish what he says. Why? That is not responsible journalism. Let me go now to the final lie told by Waitmark. He trained his guns on me as usual. And he accused me of amending the law to favor myself with respect to a building project in which I have an interest. Mr. Mark claimed, again, this nonsense is published by the media without any research. Mr. Mark claimed that the amendments to the Stamp Duty Act, which allow first-time homeowners to benefit from exemption from stamp duty for properties valued up to $2 million, he claimed that I did not benefit myself. Rubbish. Firstly, I'm not a first-time homeowner. I built my first house in 1987, 33 years ago. So I was a first-time homeowner in 1987. I can't possibly benefit from that legislation. He then went on to make some spurious connection that because of the project that my family business is involved in, is apartment buildings, that people could just call up and say, I want one of those, and they will benefit from this, and somehow that will benefit me. Spurious, fallacious nonsense. It's impossible. That stamp duty benefit, as I indicated in the budget statement, will benefit first-time homeowners, young families, young couples trying to get their first home. It is designed to help that group of people. And our estimate is that 1,000 families stand to benefit from the increase in the exemption of stamp duty. I, not being a first-time homeowner, can't possibly benefit from that. So that's just another lie that Waitmark said. So I have finished my presentation, and I would now be happy to answer any questions the media may have.
Thank you, Minister Imbert. Before we proceed with questions from the media, we kindly ask all media representatives to identify yourself by stating your name and the media house that you represent before posing your question. We will now take our first question. Good morning, can you hear us?
Yes, good morning.
Please identify yourself.
Anthony?
Anthony Wilson at the Trinidad Express.
Yes, sir.
Minister, you referred to an article in the Express yesterday, headlined, Government Wants Dan Paul to Head Central Bank. The strap of that headline was Opposition Senator. You did not quote, however, the 5th paragraph of that story, which said, speaking on Tuesday, a Ministry of Finance source who insisted on remaining anonymous because he did not have permission to speak to the media, said Dan Paul, quote, never asked to be governor of the central bank. He has not been asked to be governor. He never lobbied for the position. He has not been promised any position. He never applied for the job, and he does not want the job.
Yes, Mr. Wilson.
Yeah, so in only opting to cite the headline and the first paragraph of the story, are you not in fact misleading those who are looking at this webcast and those who may read the story at a later point?
Is that your question, Anthony?
No, it's not.
What's the question?
I
thought
want
that
to
was a
ask
question.
you.
Wasn't that a question? You asked
Yes,
if I'm
that is a
misleading.
question.
Let me answer that, if you don't mind. Look at this. That is what appeared in your newspaper. A full color picture of Mr. Danpole. A glaring headline, government wants Danpole to head central bank. And a sub-headline, government wants to appoint retired permanent secretary Vishnu Danpole. And then somewhere in the fine print, you have those comments later on. Are you not aware as a seasoned journalist that it is the headlines that attract the attention of readers? And furthermore, the point I am making is that Wade Mark is a liar. So why are you giving Wade Mark such prominence with his lies?
Can I
That's my
respond?
point. That was my point. No, Anthony, I've answered you. So if you have another question, let's move along, please.
Yeah, could you tell us how old is Mr. Hilaire, and what has been your relationship with Alvin Hilaire as the governor of the central bank?
Is that it for questions from you? Anthony?
That is it for now.
I see. Okay. I'm not surprised. I am told Dr. Hilaire is 63 years old, and I would not have recommended his reappointment unless I thought that we could have him as our governor for the next 3 years. So, do you have any more questions from other people?
There are no other questions from anyone else. I don't know if there's anything else that you may wish to add.
You're joking. So nobody's interested in the fact that this lie that Mr. Mark told about this company called Clean Energy was an outrageous falsehood, and that he somehow tried to link the PNM and Samakal Clean Energy, just total tissue of lies, that the company is not an SME on the stock exchange, can't benefit from the finance bill. Nobody in the media interested in that. This is the problem I have. The media needs to do its research, because when Senator Mark uttered those words and said that the government and me are changing the law to facilitate a German company that is listed on the SME exchange in Trinidad and Tobago to give it complete exemption from tax, I would have expected the media to go and find out what is this company, find out whether it is in fact listed on the SME stock exchange, find out if in fact they can benefit from the tax concessions. Because if they had done that, they would have discovered that Mark was lying again. So you say no questions? Well, okay.
We have another question.
Okay.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning, Mr. Imbert. Sonal Lala from TDT News. You said the cabinet made some decisions with regards to extending the period for Mr. Alvin Hilaire and so on. Could you give us a time period when this decision was made? Was it yesterday? Was it a few weeks ago?
Mr. Lala, I was very clear. I said the cabinet decided yesterday, and that his appointment will run from the 23rd of December 2020 to the 22nd of December 2022, and it's Dr. Hilaire, not Mr. Let's give everybody their respects.
Hello, Anthony.
Yeah, Minister, the central bank has been without any deputy governors for maybe 9 months now. Why has it taken so long for the government to announce a deputy governor? And who is this Dorian Noel? What is his background? What has he published, etc.?
Mr. Wilson, I'm sure you were in this press conference from the beginning. I'm certain of that.
Yeah,
said,
before 10:30, yes.
Mr. Wilson, let me finish now. I said Dr. Dorian Noel was a distinguished lecturer in finance in the Department of Government at the University of the West Indies. You can go and Google that if you want.
We have another question.
Yeah, hi, this is Curtis Williams from the Guardian newspaper. Minister,
Yes.
you talked about the media publishing, in your view, lies by Mr. Mark, a statement that would have been made in the Parliament. Would you not admit as well, Minister, that sometimes you have made statements in the Parliament that were carried by the media that proved to be wrong, inaccurate?
There's a difference between a lie.
I could point to
All right,
some of
Curtis, hold on.
not to be
There's
true.
a difference between a lie where you say something that is patently untrue, and then when you check it, one finds that the facts are there for everybody to see that it's obviously untrue. And I am talking specifics here. Let's go to Mr. Mark. And one of the points is that he gets a lie. He has said things that are patently untrue, that he would know are not true. And one of them was when he said that he had received an order from the court that stopped a debate in Parliament on insider trading. He said that proved to be untrue. He has just said on Tuesday that the government has amended the tax laws to favor a German company listed on the SME exchange in Trinidad and Tobago, and that this company is associated with Ansa McCall. Ansa McCall is a co-investor with this company, and this company will now get zero tax for 5 years and 15% tax for 5 years. Total lie. The company is not on the SME exchange. It doesn't qualify. So there's a big difference between lies, deliberate untruths, and statements based on information. And let me give you an example. And I know this is something that you have raised with me on several occasions. And I was very, very careful this year in the budget statement to indicate the source of my information. I have made many statements over the years on oil and gas production. And every single time I make those statements, it is based on information given to me in writing by the Ministry of Energy. And the information has been interrogated by myself and also by the public servants in the Ministry of Finance. And on each occasion, the Ministry of Energy would stand by their figures and tell us these are the figures for gas production, this is the projection, and so on. And on most occasions, the figures have been inaccurate. This year, I was very, very careful in stating gas production figures. The original estimate we got, for example, from the Ministry of Energy this year for gas production was much higher than the final figure that we stated in the budget statement because we interrogated it. We were not satisfied. And having been given bad information before, we decided to interrogate it and came with a much lower figure. And even so, those figures have been proven to be inaccurate. But there's a difference between a minister making a statement based on the best information available to him from another ministry, which is the authority for that information, and somebody like Mark telling a blatant, bold-faced lie. Okay?
Move on to our next question. Hi. Good morning. Good morning. Can you hear us?
I don't
We
mind.
have another question.
I'm good. Yeah, I'm good.
Hello, Anthony.
Hi. Minister, what newspaper or which newspaper carried what you described as Senator Mark's lies on the issue of the clean energy company?
Why do you want me to raise that, Anthony?
Because you've been lambasting the media all morning. I'm simply asking you, which of the newspapers in this country published what you described as Mr. Mark's lies on the issue of clean energy company and whether it qualifies as an SME.
Anthony, I got the question, but you're not answering mine. Why do you want to know that?
Because by saying media, do you not suggest that some newspaper carried what you describe as Mr. Mark's lies?
Right, but my problem is why are you asking which newspaper? Are you sensitive or something? You think I'm talking about the Express?
No, I know that you're not talking about the Express.
Okay, Newsday.
I
will answer
think...
you, Mr. Wilson. This is not a debate. You ask a question, I will answer you. Newsday, December 15th, by Sean Douglas, Wade Mark. Richmond's bill favors wind solar company. And it reads as follows. While Finance Minister Colm Imbert had touted measures in the Finance Bill 2020 aimed at helping hundreds of thousands of ordinary people gain $3,000 in annual tax allowance, opposition Senator Wade Mark called it a rich man's paradise. He lamented tax breaks aimed at a German clean energy firm in which local conglomerate Ansel McCall has invested. Mark dubbed the bill ad hominem legislation. That is, a law aimed at a specific person entity, referring to the wind and solar engineering company. He said the bill was disturbing, worrying, troubling, and concerning. He complained that when Trinidad and Tobago is now cash-strapped, the bill amends the Corporation Tax Act so that small and medium businesses to be listed on a stock exchange will enjoy an initial 5 years of paying no taxes. He resented it, and on and on. His checks found a company named MPC Caribbean Clean Energy. I'd like to check what is the relationship between this company and the government. He said it employs no one, does no business, yet miraculously got 5 years of paying no taxes. That's a bold-faced lie. This company can't qualify for the tax concessions, will not get them, and did not get them, and is not listed on the SA. So you wanted to know? It's not the Express, it's the Newsday.
Available for more questions?
I'm good.
Mr. Williams.
Hi, Minister. Can you say whether or not you are happy with the way in which the central bank has been handling the foreign exchange situation, and are you concerned, based on the recent monetary policy report, that come next year, both in terms of the levels of reserves, but more importantly about the outlook for the energy sector, where a lot of that the forex comes in? Are you concerned that come next year that we would be in a far more challenging position as it relates to the foreign exchange issue?
Very good question. I'm glad you brought that up. Now, the central bank manages foreign exchange in collaboration with the government, especially the Minister of Finance. It's in the law. The central bank is not the absolute controller or authority with respect to foreign exchange. It's a collaborative arrangement, and the Minister of Finance has specific powers with respect to foreign exchange. We have a floating exchange rate, which is managed in a very tight band, and the central bank seeks to alleviate the shortage of forex by injecting US dollars into the commercial banking system on a regular basis. And I would tell you, we opened up 2 windows over a couple of years ago. We have a special arrangement for state enterprises that are providing essential services like TNTEC and WASA, etc., that need foreign exchange to buy equipment and so on. We have a special window for them. And then recently, just before COVID came, we opened another window at the Exim Bank for manufacturers to give them access to foreign exchange based on certain criteria, certain conditions, favoring small and medium enterprises as well. And when I looked at the numbers, and then we had a special window, another one for COVID, for pharmaceuticals and essential supplies and personal protective equipment for COVID. When I looked at the numbers in terms of the total amount of foreign exchange injected into the system based on the straight supply to the commercial banks, the window for state enterprises, critical state enterprises, and the Exim Bank facility for manufacturers, we in fact put more US dollars into the system in 2020 than in 2019. Just a little more, but more. So I just wanted to put that on the table because we're trying now to kind of fashion the way we target the distribution of foreign exchange to the productive sector. But it's a problem. And because oil prices are down, gas prices are down, production is down both in oil and gas, and that's where we get most of our forex, the vast majority. And that's actually where the government gets its foreign exchanges, primarily from the energy sector. Because production is down and prices are down, of course, the inflows from the energy sector are much less. It is very, very challenging for us. But we're using a number of different strategies to resolve that issue. And we still have very healthy reserves. We still have over 8 months import cover. And the Heritage Fund is doing very well. We supplement our forex with the Heritage Fund income. Heritage Fund is almost back up to 6 billion again, even though we've taken more than a billion out of it over the last couple of years. So it is challenging. It is difficult. It is going to be a very tough 2021. And in terms of forex, it is going to be hard. But we will try to use whatever forex we have, as I said, supplementing the government's reserves with injections from the Heritage Fund from time to time and other strategies to see what we can do to increase the availability of US dollars.
We have another question from Ms. Renessa Cutting, TV6 News.
Sure.
She would like to know what are some of the considerations being undertaken with respect to appointing the 2 other deputy governors that may account for the delay in announcing those 2 appointments.
Sure. The way the law is worded, the governor and deputy governor must be men, and that's one of those legal terms that means man or woman of proven financial experience. And we have had some difficulty. Even recently, when we were looking to make these appointments, we did a worldwide search, a local search and a worldwide search, and it wasn't easy. It's not difficult. I mean, sorry, it's not easy, it's difficult. In fact, we reached out to some of our nationals overseas in the multilateral institutions who are doing very good work at institutions such as World Bank, IMF, etc. And it was not possible to get some of the potential candidates to give up their career at these multilateral institutions to come back to serve at this time. It's all a question of timing sometimes. You catch somebody, the person is perfectly qualified, but they're building a career in the international world and they want to spend some time overseas before they come back to Trinidad to do public service. In Trinidad and Tobago as well, it's difficult to find people who would fit the bill, because I want to make a point. As we go forward under this uncertain COVID environment, the role of monetary policy is going to become far more important. And we will have to have a stronger connection with the central bank and work in tandem with them to deal with things like the money supply, interest rates, and other methods of influencing GDP, such as possibly inflation targeting and so on. And this will require much deeper collaboration now between the government and the central bank. It's going to be all hands on deck. We're in a very, very difficult situation financially, and we will have to now use a combination of fiscal policy and monetary policy going forward to see how we could get our economy to grow. So we have to be very careful how we select these governors. It can't be just selecting someone on the basis of friendship or paper qualifications. We have to pick people who could assist country with monetary policy in growing the economy.
You have more questions?
Sure.
We'll take one from Anthony Wilson.
Well, I think we could, that would be the last for Mr. Wilson. Okay.
Anthony, you have one more question.
So subscribed or prescribed by the minister. I'm wondering if the minister would allow a question on the appointment of the board of the Trinidad and Tobago Securities and Exchange Commission. What has happened to that process which has led to there not being a board for that important institution for maybe more than 9 months.
That's the question.
Yes.
And that's it, right? Not hearing you.
Sorry, I muted him before you.
Okay, you put it in. Sorry. Yes, we now have a full board at the Securities and Exchange Commission. There were some administrative issues within the public service. I'm not going to go into any great detail on this, but I just want to say that the only people who get asked to account for things in Trinidad and Tobago are politicians. Quite often there are issues within the public service where mistakes are made by public servants who are anonymous. And the politicians get the blame. I'm very happy to say that those administrative issues have been resolved, and we have the instruments of appointment for a full board of the Securities and Exchange Commission.
Minister, do you have time to take one more question from Mr. Williams?
Minister, in keeping with what you said with respect to the challenges on the foreign exchange market next year, would government be open again to considering looking at a change in the exchange rate position? That is to say, perhaps a depreciation of the exchange rate in a band from that instead of the 670, 680 area to perhaps 720, 750 area. Manage depreciation, if you want to call it that, so that it could give some breathing room to the kind of challenge that is being faced at the moment, and perhaps make even manufacturers and so on a little more competitive, read their competitors in the global market.
Okay, now exchange rate adjustment is a very complex matter. We have done quite a lot of modeling of our exchange rate and looked at what would happen if we adjusted it. And all of the models show a minimal effect because of the very short supply of foreign exchange coming in. If you were to depreciate the Trinidad and Tobago dollar, the effect would be small. It's not like the past where huge sums of US dollars were being earned by the energy sector and being converted and being paid to the government in taxes and so on. Remember, in the 2013-2014 period, the revenue from petroleum, and this would be all taxation, royalties, petroleum profits tax, corporation tax, oil impost, etc. All of the revenue from petroleum in those years was as high as 28 billion Trinidad and Tobago dollars. So you're talking over 4 billion US dollars coming in. So if you depreciated the currency at that time, because of the quantity of US dollars coming in, the effect in terms of TT dollars would be significant. But now the revenues from petroleum are way, way, way down, half or less than half what they used to be. So that the volume of Forex coming in is much less. So therefore the beneficial effect you would get from a depreciation in the currency in terms of more TT dollars would not be as substantial, nowhere as substantial as it would have been in the years of plenty. But in addition, when you depreciate your currency, you still have foreign debt service to make, which you make in US dollars. So it's you have to balance it. Yes, you get more TT dollars for the Forex that you would earn as a government, but then you have outflows in terms of foreign exchange which would be affected. In addition, you have inflationary pressures, and then you will have wage demands from the trade unions. So even the manufacturers, when you look at all the countries that have depreciated their currency, it's not always worked out, because yes, you get a very temporary short-term benefit for exporters, but immediately the cost of goods and services goes up in the country, the wages go up, and it cancels out the beneficial effect of the depreciation. So we see no reason at this point in time. We in the government, the central bank has told me they don't do inflation targeting. as their only policy. They look at money supply, they look at interest rates, and they look at inflation. There's a whole basket of things that the central bank looks at in terms of monetary policy. But from our perspective as government, we have targeted an inflation rate over the last 5 years of less than 2% as part of government policy. And we have managed that. So you look at the inflation rate, this year it's 1%, last year 1%. It means the price of goods and services just not going up. And that helps the people of the country. So that when you're talking depreciation, it's a very complex model. And at this time, when you have small inflows of currency coming in, we don't think it's appropriate at this point in time. So as I indicated before, we have no intention of devaluing the currency at this point in time. We intend to defend the currency and keep it at the 6.8 level for the foreseeable future.
We have 3 questions from Sean Douglas, Trinidad Music.
And then after that, let's close off. Okay.
He would like to know, is the Inspector of Financial Institutions filled by just an acting appointee?
No, we intend to fill that with a permanent appointment very shortly.
He also wants to know if there's any reaction to Senator Mark saying debt to GDP ratio is now at 80%.
That's not new. And again, this is what bothers me with the media. If one read my budget statement and looked at the Hansard of the debates in Parliament during the budget debate, I went into great length on what our debt to GDP ratio was. I said 80% at the time, and I indicated what it was in other countries. The UK had crossed 100% because of COVID. US was over 100%. Japan was over 100%. India was hitting 100%. I went into great detail and great lengths to explain our debt to GDP ratio and the strategy for getting it back down. So for Senator Mark saying it's 80% 3 months later, that's not new. That's just back at it.
And his final question, how well is the Trinidad and Tobago economy bouncing back from the hit by COVID-19?
COVID is still hitting us. When I look, I see corporation tax is down, personal individual income tax is down, royalties are down, value-added tax is down, and this is nothing unique to Trinidad and Tobago, because there's a fallacy out there that Trinidad and Tobago is floating somewhere on its own in some kind of unreal place. We are not. All economies of the world have been battered by COVID, and we are lucky in Trinidad and Tobago, very, very lucky, that the government of Trinidad and Tobago and the Prime Minister in particular has managed the COVID situation so well that we still have many industries and businesses open. If you look at what's happening in England, in Ireland, in the whole of Europe, all in the Far East, in North America, lockdown after lockdown after lockdown, curfew, people can't even come out of the house. And those economies are shattered. Our economy is under tremendous pressure, tremendous. We still have COVID coming at us, but we're doing much better than others.
Okay. Before we wrap up, I want to thank members of the media and the viewing public for joining us at this press conference. Do enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.